What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Clear the Deck. Pirates win. Pirates win. Pirates are 2-0 on the young season. Still on pace. Remember, I was talking about it last episode. Still on pace for that perfect season at 162-0. In this case, Pirates last night win 7-2 against the Miami Marlins. I would argue in a pretty convincing way. There was never really a time in this game where I thought, maybe Pirates are going to lose this, or maybe they're going to blow up and give the lead back to the Miami Marlins. Marlins were never in this game. Not once. And yes, the question, I'm asking myself is, did the Pirates play a perfect game? No. But that doesn't matter. If you're coming away with a win, that's what matters. Pirates still facing some base running issues. We saw that tonight again. O'Neal Cruz tagging up at second to try to get to third on a sacrifice fly for no reason with one out. Ended up being a double play. Ke'Bryan Hayes, 2 errors tonight. A quick error that on a grounder that went right through his legs, and another later in the game where, took it pretty deep and almost into left field and threw it to first, way over the first baseman's head. Way over Connor Joe's head. So I think even in these moments where, Pirates aren't, playing perfect games, still not, doing all that well with runners in scoring position. Tonight, the Pirates were 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Didn't play perfect defense. Certainly weren't perfect on the bases tonight. Still coming away with wins. And I think, that's kind of my takeaway from this team is that even if they don't have the strongest pitching or the strongest defense or, whatever the case may be, Pirates are going to be in games this year. One of my takeaways earlier, as this team was being built is that, because of this offense, and we didn't even see any power tonight, what we saw tonight was patience at the plate. AJ Puck, who was the lefty starter for the Miami Marlins tonight, only lasted 2 innings, gave up 6 walks, 3 hits, right? You're going to take what the pitcher gives you. And in this case, AJ Puck, their closer last year for the Marlins, was erratic. Couldn't find the strike zone. So, in that case, you're going to take a lot of pitches. AJ Puck tonight, 68 pitches, only 33 of them strikes. Right? When you have a pitcher and he can't find the zone, take the pitches. And then that's exactly what the Pirates did. They didn't have to hit for power. They had 3 doubles tonight. One from Michael A. Taylor in center field. Their center fielder, rather. One from Ke'Bryan Hayes, his second of the year, and one from Connor Joe, his first of the year. Right? Other than that, they had 7 other singles. So 3 doubles, 7 singles. They didn't need a home run tonight. They won pretty convincingly. And again, I think my point is that they don't have to play perfectly. Let the other team make more mistakes than you are. And that's, I think, what they took advantage of tonight. I think my other, this is another, I think, lesson that I'm experiencing with this team is that players who we didn't expect to even be on this team are showing up early. And again, we're only 2 games in this season. There are only so many big takeaways that you can have. But I think early on, wow, how impressive is this bullpen? That's what I'm thinking of. In the first 2 games of the season, this bullpen has pitched 11 innings, only given up 1 earned run. And again, from guys we didn't even expect to be on this team. In this case, Ryder Ryan, who was really only on this team to start the year because there are a couple of other bullpen guys, in this case, Colin Holderman, Carmen Majinski, who are starting the year on the injured list. Ryder Ryan was very impressive tonight, coming in the 5th inning to take the ball from Pirates starter tonight, Martin Perez, who, had a pretty average game, 4 1/3 innings, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 6 hits, only 2 strikeouts. Serviceable game, but in that fifth inning when there were some base runners for the Marlins and, a very much a scoring, situation for the Marlins, Ryder Ryan comes in immediately and just pounded the strike zone with sliders and sinkers. And, Ryder Ryan, 2 sinker strikeouts in that fifth inning. And then another double play grounder in the sixth to get out of it. Really impressive by him. I think if he can take advantage of throwing that sinker and get those ground outs and even strikeouts when, kind of needed the most, he's throwing the ball up towards, 95, 96 miles an hour. Really impressive performance by him. Only had 1 inning last year in his debut with the Mariners. A guy where you're like, I have no idea who he is, but I'm glad he's on our team right now. A really impressive performance by him. His first win as a major leaguer, which is really always cool to see. And then Josh Fleming, another guy that they got from the Rays last year, who we knew was going to, maybe be that opener who pitches, 1, 2, 3 innings. In this case, pitches, the 7th, 8th, and 9th with a pretty big lead. Does his job. 3 innings, 2 hits, only 1 earned run, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, 58 pitches, 33 of them strikes. I thought was very impressive. He's now pitched in both games. Fleming gets the save. One of those 3 inning saves that are always fun to watch. I think the bullpen is the standout so far. Again, only 2 games in, but when your bullpen is a part of your team that you can rely on, and again, they're not going to be this great all season, but so far, only good things. And this is, again, without Bednar. We haven't even seen Bednar yet. We haven't seen a Colin Holderman who spent the majority of last year in that, kind of 7th, 8th inning role. These are with guys who, again, weren't even supposed to be on the team. Yesterday we saw it, or not yesterday, but the first game we saw it with Jose Hernandez, which, again, he wasn't even supposed to be on the team with Roansy Contreras going on paternity leave. That's the reason he's on this team. So these are guys who we weren't even supposed to be counting on, and we're counting on them early in the year. Really, really impressive by the bullpen. I talked about this, tonight, but the offense, we didn't really need the power. We talked about this in previous episodes that the Pirates' power is probably going to keep them in the games. But in this case, the patience at the plate is what, one, got the Pirates the lead and then kept them in the lead for the majority of the game and for all of the game in the case tonight. 6 walks in the first 2 innings, 7 walks altogether. Only 3 doubles, 7 singles from the team. Connor Joe coming up big with a couple hits. Brian Reynolds with a hit. Ke'Bryan Hayes, let's just talk about him for a second. Another really impressive game from him at the plate. Another double, his second of the season tonight. Another walk. This is early days, but hitting .571 in the first 2 games. Let's talk about his defense. He was a liability tonight, which is not something I thought I'd ever really say about him. I think he had six errors all last season. He had 2 tonight. I don't think this is a trend. I think this is more of an outlier. At least I hope. But again, when you're not perfect, in this case, Ke'Bryan certainly wasn't perfect tonight, making those 2 errors in the field. The offense backed him out. Got 7 runs tonight. Olivares with another hit. Henry Davis with another hit and a walk. O'Neal Cruz coming up with 2 hits. There are these moments where in the season, and we're going to see a lot more of them over the next 160 games, where the Pirates who you think are going to, lead the team in hits or are going to lead the game in a big home run, like these leaders of the team, the Ke'Bryan Hayes, the Brian Reynolds, the other players that we rely on. O'Neal Cruz is certainly, having the potential of being someone like that. Because you have a better offense on paper, because you have a better roster on paper, you don't always have to rely on the household names. In this case, a Reynolds or a Hayes. Hayes struggled tonight. O'Neal Cruz, another guy who folks are really excited about. I'm really excited about. Made another base running error, tagging up at second to try to get to third with one out on a sacrifice fly. Right? We're going to make our mistakes. We've certainly seen that as Pirates fans over the years. But I think the reason why I'm a little bit more optimistic this year about this team is that the roster is just better from top to bottom. Where Connor Joe can hit a big double. Where Olivares can have another hit and walk tonight. Or Michael Taylor can have a double tonight with an RBI and a walk. You have better players on your team that you can count on in case a Brian Hayes or a Brian Reynolds or an O'Neal Cruz make mistakes, right? So I think it's another takeaway where the roster's better and, you're going to have more higher quality players to lean on. And in this case, we're seeing that both on offense. We're seeing that both, in the bullpen as well. And again, the caveat here is that it's 2 games into the season. The Miami Marlins, I think what's really impressive if we kind of go through their stats tonight, Luis Ariz, who was the batting champ both in the American League and in the National League last year with the Marlins, I think hit .354 last year. He's starting off the year 0 for 10. That's pretty impressive that the Pirates are able to keep him hitless in his first 10 at bats. I don't think there was a game the entire last year where he went 0 for 6, and he did that in the first game, went 0 for 4 tonight. So if you're able to, in this case tonight, let's recap a little bit. Marlins brought out a guy in AJ Puck, their starter, who couldn't find the strike zone. They took advantage immediately, right? They took advantage of the Miami Marlins also being, they were 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position, but were only able to get across 2 runs. So just play better than the other team. It doesn't have to be perfect. And take the win, which in this case they've done in Game 1 and Game 2. I think some other just quick takeaways that I have on my list here. Let's talk about the lineup for the Pirates. Am I convinced that Connor Joe is the best leadoff hitter when we're facing lefties? He was great tonight. He was 2 for 5. Like I said, had that double RBI and a run. But I think O'Neal Cruz is too good to not have him be the leadoff hitter of this team, whether it's against a righty or a lefty. I don't want to see him batting 7th, in which he did tonight. And yeah, he had 2 weak hits. He had 3 strikeouts where, he didn't look all that impressive, but he's too much of a freak athlete on this Pirates team to not hit at the top of the lineup. So I said yesterday that, Derek Shelton managed kind of a perfect game yesterday. And I know he gets a lot of kind of unfair criticism probably about his lineups, but I was listening to someone today talk about, lineup creation and, Derek Shelton does make a lot of changes. He's kind of known for that. I think we need some consistency if we're going to be successful this year. No matter if it's a righty or lefty, I think those top 3 hitters, again, O'Neal Cruz should be your leadoff hitter. Brian Reynolds is probably always going to be your 2 hitter. Brian Hayes, your number 3 hitter. I really don't want those 3 moving at all. There's a question to be had about McCutchen, right? He's the king of this team. He deserves all of his flowers, but should Andrew McCutchen, at his age, be a cleanup hitter? I think the answer is no. And I'm not just saying that because of his results in the first 2 games. He's just not that guy anymore. Does he deserve to be on the roster of the Pittsburgh Pirates? Absolutely. Does he deserve to be probably the DH and at times in the outfield? Absolutely. Should he probably be your cleanup hitter? I don't think so. And I get why they're doing it. They're, facing a lot of lefties early on in the season, but I'd rather almost see, an Edward Olivares, who we've seen already hit a home run this year, does really well against lefties, if that's the excuse. Bring him in the fourth spot. Put Henry Davis in the fourth spot. Right? Try to experiment there. Jack Sawinski, we saw him have 2 more at-bats tonight coming off the bench. I'm excited to hopefully see him start either tomorrow or in this case today, Saturday, maybe even Sunday. The only way you get better against left-handed hitters is facing left-handed hitters. So I'd love to see him get some more consistent at-bats, even though, we know he historically struggles against lefties, but you got to put him in the lineup at some point. I thought it was a good decision tonight. I will give Shelton credit. If Joe's going to be in the game, he's got to be in for Rowdy Tellez. I think that's smart. That makes sense. And then have Jared Triolo and Michael Taylor where they've been at 8 and 9. I think that's the lineup to go with. So we'll see what happens in today's game, this third game of the series, and even on Sunday. But I think if I have some thoughts there, it's let's get Cruz not batting 7th ever again. He's too good to be batting 7th for this team. What else? Let's do a little Skeens update. He's pitching today for the Indianapolis Indians. I believe their game goes off at 2 o'clock. I can't remember if that's Eastern or Central time. I can double check that. But Paul Skeens, number 1 prospect in the Pittsburgh Pirates system. A lot of people think, or a lot of people are asking, when's he going to be up in Pittsburgh? And I think the rational answer there is, well, he's only pitched 6 professional innings since being drafted. So let's see what he can do in a few starts. But I think a lot of folks, I've seen a lot of talk about him being up potentially in May. Not having to wait until June or July. Let's get him up a little bit earlier. But I think that all has to do with how he performs. And yes, he's the top prospect for the Pittsburgh Pirates for a reason. Hitting 102. Devastating slider. But we got to see how he does. I think it makes sense why he's in Indianapolis first. He's got to pitch more than 6 innings, right? So let's see how he does. I'm excited to see him pitch for the Indianapolis Indians today, in addition to seeing how the Pirates do in their 3rd game of the season. Let's do a little bit of a NL Central update. I wanted to do that yesterday, but just honestly forgot. Let's take a look at the standings. When the Pirates are 2-0, why not take a look at the standings? I don't care if it's March 30th. Take advantage of that whenever you can. So let's see what happened today across the NL Central. The Brewers, they played earlier today, their first game. They had a 3-1 win against the Mets, so Brewers are 1-0. Let's see, who else from the NL Central played today? It's just the Cardinals. Cardinals lost their second game. There's a lot of people out in the world who think the Cardinals, for some reason, after being last place last year, are somehow going to jump into first place. I know they're playing the Dodgers. The Dodgers are, in all likelihood, a favorite this year to win the World Series with the addition of Shohei Ohtani, but they are now 0-2 to start the season. Wouldn't want to be them. Couldn't be them. Isn't. But if we look at the standings, let's see. Let's just pull up the NL Central here. See what happens here. Pirates are 2-0, leading the NL Central. Cincinnati Reds and Chicago Cubs, they didn't play yesterday, so Reds are still 1-0. Milwaukee's tied with them now at 1-0. Chicago Cubs 0-1, and now St. Louis Cardinals 0-2. Speaking of the Indianapolis Indians AAA, I know I talked about Paul Skeens getting the start later today, but there are a couple names that we probably want to keep an eye on as well. Nick Gonzalez and Liover Peguero, 2 middle infielders for the AAA Indians right now. Saw a home run from Nick Gonzalez, which is always good to see. I believe it was opposite field home run, 2 RBIs. Peguero, also 2 hits. Those are the guys, they're down there for a reason, to get consistent at-bats. If they're going to be down there, we want to see them perform. Good to see them both get 2 hits. Nick Gonzalez, rooting for both of them, but good to see him get a home run. I think these are 2 guys you probably see up in Pittsburgh later this year. But it's a good day. It's another good day. Pirates are 2-0. Up again later today against the Miami Marlins in the 3rd game. Really excited about this one. And for 2, I'll give you one reason. Jared Jones, making his major league debut later today. 22 years old. If you haven't seen this kid pitch, it's an exciting pitcher for the Pirates. Hitting up to 99, 100 miles an hour. Really, really tight slider. He was on the Fan today, or yesterday, just talking about, like, shoving. And he told a story on the Fan today where there was a high school game where I can't remember if it was a complete game shutout or a perfect game. It was, one of the two, but he had 77 pitches and 76 of them were strikes. He had 77 pitches. 76 of them were fastballs. And the last pitch he had in the game was a slider, just to mess with the kid. He has this kind of like F you mentality when he gets on the mound, and that's the type of energy that I think is really needed for the Pirates to turn things around. We talked a little bit about that with him. Paul Skeens has that. Henry Davis has that. The more guys you have like that on your team, that's when you change mentality. That's when you change the vibe to, not a losing mentality that we know the Pirates have had over many, many years, but you turn it into a winning mentality and you start to, the culture is different. And so I'm really excited to see him pitch. He's going up against Ryan Weathers. Not very impressive, I'll be honest, from Ryan Weathers. He's another lefty that the Pirates are going to face. So we'll see what the Pirates do with their lineup, see if they change anything around. I'm hopeful, again, that O'Neal Cruz has moved up. Maybe we see a start from Jack Sawinski. But an exciting game. Let's see. I said yesterday, you can't win 162 games if you don't win the second. Same rings true today. You can't win 162 games if you don't win the third. So let's see what they do today. And let's have some fun. It's been a fun couple of games. There's no reason to only be critical, and we can certainly find the critical things of this team. There are going to be many. But when you win games, it makes things a whole lot easier. Have a good day. Good luck to the Buccos. Let's go Bucks.